Warning, this game contains content that might not be suitable for most audiences. Viewers' discretion is advised. There's a human at the gates, my liege. Another would-be hero, eh? How boring they are. Why don't they just give up? You wave your hand, conjuring up a magical image of the human attempting to enter your castle. Somehow, he piques your interest. There's something different about him. And not just that he's so much more attractive than the others who have come seeking your head. There must be a way to open this gate. What an intriguing young man. Sire? Perhaps we should have some fun with him. You want me to send out some minions to tear him apart for your entertainment? Huh? Well, that might be a good idea for a morning's amusement. I believe I have a better idea. Open the gates. My liege? What are you saying? If a human got inside a castle, do as you are commanded, worm. Open the gates, or it shall be you who is slowly turned to pieces to entertain me. Yes, my liege. Right away, my liege. Look at him searching. Do humans really think they can open my gate just by scrabbling in the weeds beside them? Yes, this handsome young fellow will surely be good for a laugh. Yeah, that's got it. He thinks he opened the door himself. Yes, this mortal will be most entertaining. Yeah! Die, monster! Sometime later. I can't die here. Split. Really? Is that all you had? Even get off the first floor. Shall I have the body disposed of, my liege? No. You want to display to frighten off other would-be heroes, then? No. What do you want done with it, then? Take him back to the front door and revive him. What? Did you say revive him? Of course I did. I'm not through being entertained by him yet. My lord. Did you fail to understand my instructions, worm? It's just that to revive a creature as frail as a human, particularly after such a gruesome death. The pathetic servant coughs uneasily. Spit it out, worm. It can only be done by sacrificing one of your minions, granting the human its life force. Oh? You rub your chin, considering the notion deeply. You've never been so intrigued by a human before. And you have countless minions. That is acceptable. It is? Yes. There is an uneasy silence in the chamber. Very well, my liege. What sort of minion did you wish to sacrifice? There are so many to choose from, and each will likely give the human different benefits. You should consider carefully which minion to sacrifice. You could sacrifice an ogre to revive him. The human would likely be stronger for it. Or you could sacrifice a troll. That would make the human sturdier. Or you could sacrifice one of those obnoxious succubi. That might give the human some magical abilities. Or maybe an incubus. They are known for their stamina, and you'll want him to have plenty of that. Or perhaps one of the myriad kobolds scurrying about the place. They're fast and never seem to tire of getting underfoot. I will sacrifice... heck, if I'm that intrigued by him, I would love him to have all the stamina he needs. But, okay. Considering he just died immediately, he probably needs more hit points. So, a troll. As you command, my liege. And send me to provide him with any supplies he might need. My liege, is this wise? You dare doubt my wisdom? No, of course not. It's just he's already dispatched nearly a dozen of your minions, sire. What if he becomes an even greater threat? No human can ever be a threat to me, no matter how handsome. Handsome? Do as you're told, or next time I'll have you sacrifice to revive him. Yeah, at once, my liege. What? Where am I? How cute he is when he's perplexed. I'm back at the front doors? But didn't I die? Sure did. Yeah! You can't help but laugh at the sight of your would-be hero jumping in fright at the approach of your maid. What? Who? What? Where? How? Who? What? Who? He continues babbling adorably until the maid's laughter overpowers his voice. What's so funny? You are. What do you want from me, demon? I'm just here to help. You must need some help after all. Well, yeah, Wait, why are you helping me? Aren't you the demon lord's servant? Oh, well. You know. No, I really don't. God damn, the hero is so freaking dense. Yeah, I see. You must be tired of the demon lord's tyranny and want to help me destroy him. Yeah. Is that not it? Nope. Well, what is your reason for helping me? Don't you worry about that. Now I've brought some supplies you might like. Have a look at what you can afford. Afford? A girl's gotta eat, you know, even when she's a sultry demoness like myself. Besides, I saw you looting the corpses of all those monsters you killed. You've got money to burn. I suppose I do. Fine, I'll have a look at your wares. That's nice, or maybe that one. So, why do you want to kill my master, human? He's a demon lord who terrorizes the entire countryside. Why wouldn't I want to kill him? Yeah, but he's been doing that for centuries. Why try complain now? I think you'd be used to it after all this time. Just because his reign of terror has been in place longer than my village has existed, there's no reason to simply put up with it for all of eternity. Isn't that right? Seems like a reason to me. Are you always this nosy? Pretty much. If you really must know. Yes. Your master killed my boyfriend. I want to avenge him. So, he's singled. Oh my god, seriously. I freaking love the demon lord. Even if you die in the process? Yes, even then. I don't want anyone else bereaved as I have been. Aw, how sweet. The conversation falls silent as the human focuses on his purchases. Eventually, he spends nearly every coin he looted off your minions, and the maid bids him farewell. Then the hero sets his jaw and walks forward into the halls of your castle. Time passes. Your would-be slayer is locked in combat with the guard who blocks the staircase up to the second floor. The human strikes the guardian, but does little damage. The guardian's return strike kills the human instantly, just like it did last time. You'll have to sacrifice another minion to bring the human back to life. Considering he's so... Wait. How strong was he when he died? You weren't sure what the numbers stand for exactly, but you know your human likes to define the strikes numerically. At the time of his latest death, the human has 1... his vitality was 2, his magical ability was 0, his stamina was a measly 1, and his agility was 1. You feel like that might be more meaningful if you had a frame of reference for those numbers. Unfortunately, you're fairly sure that your own numbers will break their charts, and you haven't had any other humans on hand to measure. There is still, of course, the question of what minion you wish to sacrifice to revive him. Let's give him more strength. An ogre. The human staggers uneasily to his feet as your maid approaches him. Yet again, huh? Guess so. You'll need supplies then. The human nods and begins purchasing more goods from your maid. You admire his rump as he's doing so! Oh my god, like literally he's just spending his time at the store. Like he's just over there chatting up your maid, snake demon lady, and like you're just staring at his cake. I mean, it is a nice cake. This hero's... Oh god, no wonder he's the hero. Oh my god. It is quite shapely. It would probably look delicious striped with his blood. Finished with his purchases, the immortal heads off into the palace, eager for his date with you. Time passes. Your would-be slayer is locked in combat with the guard who blocks the staircase up to the second floor. The human strikes the guardian but does little damage. The Guardian's return strike kills the human instantly, just like it did last time. You'll have to sacrifice another minion to bring the human back to life. Ooh, considering how freaking weak he is, he might do well with some magic. So, here, magic. The human staggers unsteadily to his feet as your mate approaches him. Dead again, huh? Guess so. You need supplies then. Human nods and begins purchasing more goods from your maid. You admire his behind as he does so. It is quite shapely. It will probably look delicious striped with his blood. Finished with his purchases, the mortal heads off into the palace, eager for his date with you. Time passes. You would-be slayer is locked in combat with the guard who blocks the staircase up to the second floor. The human strikes the guardian, but does little damage. The guardian's return strike kills the human instantly, just like it did last time. You have to sacrifice another minion to bring the human back to life. Okay, maybe it's a matter of speed. Maybe he's just not fast enough. Let's go for the Cobalt. Human staggers unsteadily to his feet. Let's skip ahead until we get somewhere interesting. I had to level up some of his stats again. Your would-be slayer is locked in combat with the guard who blocks the staircase up to the second floor. The human deals the guardian a significant blow. However, when the guardian strikes in return, the human is once again laid low. Ah, god damn it. You have to sacrifice another minion to bring the human back to life. It would be so funny if I turned him into One Punch Man. Oh god. Oh wait, should I make him stronger or should I make him sturdier? I'm gonna turn him into One Punch Man. Okay, just to let you guys know, I've leveled him up to about 10 strength at this point. But I feel like I should actually play this game properly and actually give him a bit more vitality. So I might sacrifice more trolls. Your would-be slayer is locked in combat with the guard who blocks the staircase up to the second floor. The human deals the guardian a significant blow. So your guardian strikes in return. It isn't enough to kill the human with the first blow. And the guardian doesn't last long enough to get him in the second blow. Triumphantly, the human mounts the stairs up to the second floor. The human makes his way cautiously onto the second floor, gulping from a bottle of healing potion as he does so. My lord? What is it? Can't you see I'm busy? Sorry, your evilness. I was wondering, how long you want me to keep helping out that human? I want you to sell him whatever he needs every time I revive him, whether that is once more or 1,000 times more. You got it, sire. So, everything he wants? You regard her with narrowed eyes. She's been known to prey on handsome man from time to time for her own nefariously lecherous desires. You will sell him whatever material objects he requires in his futile attempts to make his way up here. You will not sell him any services. She laughs entirely indelicately. Aw, too bad. He's such a cutie. She pauses, licking her lips. Maybe I can have him if you get bored of him. Out of my sight, wench. She traipses out of the room, laughing. You make a mental note to terminate her in one way or another next time you have a moment. The present moment, however, is entirely focused on your new toy. He's about to enter the corridor being patrolled by ghostly witches after all. Watch him squirm in fear on being first subjected to magical attacks should be quite the treat. The first witch to spot your would-be conqueror fires off a spell at him. He's so stunned that for a moment he can only stare at the translucent witch in shock. Once he comes to his senses, he dodges the spell easily and draws his blade for a counterattack. Unconsciously challenging the magic he obtained thanks to your choice of revival sacrifices, he's able to slice through the witch with the normally ordinary blade. Visibly shaking with fear due to the encounter, he continues down the corridor even more warily than before. The fear on his face is quite a delight to witness. Some time later, a single ghostly witch wails down out of the rafters to attack the human. The witch strikes down your charming little toy with a lightning spell, but fails to kill him. He does not fail to kill her in return and looks positively proud of himself as he proceeds along the corridor. You're looking forward to watching his pride wither as he makes his way upwards towards the castle. More time passes. The human is now approaching the demon station to guard the staircase up to the third floor. An elemental spirit. It possesses enormous magical power and cannot be harmed by physical attacks. The look of horror on the human's face delights you almost as much as the thought of how beautifully the elemental will make him suffer. The would-be hero does his best in fighting the elemental spirit, but cannot help succumbing to its great power. His death scream is beautifully tortured. You have to sacrifice another minion to bring the human back to life. Ooh, okay, I know it's probably a good idea to just straight up level up I don't know, magical abilities, but I feel like I want to actually like round him off to like at least 5 in every stat first. Sometime later. The human is suddenly set upon by 2 witches in tandem. He succeeds in taking down one of them, but the other is able to slay him. Ayo! The look of despair on his face as he tumbles down the floor sends shivers of pleasure through you. You'll have to sacrifice another minion to bring the human back to life. That was a completely new encounter. Well, I'm still gonna level him up anyway. 3 witch ghosts approach the human in a line, cackling madly. The human attempts to dodge the spells. All 3 witches unleash upon him. He dodges 2 of them, but takes the third right in his pretty face. Hey, yo! Evidently, the human can't do without their face. You'll have to keep that in mind for the future because he collapses to the floor. Quite dead. You'll have to sacrifice another minion to bring the human back to life. The human is once again approaching the elemental guarding the stairs. The would-be hero does his best in fighting the elemental spirit, but cannot help succumbing to its great power. His death scream is beautifully tortured. You have to sacrifice another minion to bring the human back to life. I'm still leveling him up, so whatever. 3 witch ghosts approach the human in a line, cackling madly. As they begin unleashing spells in his direction, the human contorts his lithe body to avoid their attacks. He takes down the first witch immediately upon reaching her, but this leaves him open to be struck down by the other 2 attacks. The combined effects of both spells are too much for him, and the would-be hero collapses to the floor in a jumble of partially disconnected flesh. Not one of his more appealing deaths. You have to sacrifice another minion to bring the human back to life. The human is once again approaching the elemental guarding the stairs. It is a long and bitter fight, but the human eventually manages to defeat the elemental spirit. He limps up the stairs, healing potion in hand. The grunts he lets out as he climbs are so very musical that you wish you could bottle them and listen to them forever. The human pauses halfway up the stairs and chugs his healing potion. I've just had the most magnificent idea. You clap your hands to summon your servant. Yes, my liege. Replace all those irritating kobolds on the 3rd floor with the Weaver and her brood. Yes, sire. You sound disgruntled, Worm. It will be difficult to make those changes while the human is running about the 3rd floor, killing everything in sight. If you dare to harm him! But isn't that what you want the Weaver to do? Make the change before he reaches the top of the stairs, Worm. What? But my liege, it will take months to, or at least to remove all the kobolds and bring in the Weaver and her enormous brood. You scowl and glance at the image of the human. He's done with his potion and has resumed climbing again. You could just have the Weaver installed on the 4th floor instead, but kobolds are so dull, they won't be able to torment the lovely boy in a way that will please you. Very well. You snap your fingers and the human freezes in place. He won't move again until I say so. Now get the Weaver onto the 3rd floor of the palace. Yes, my liege. He starts to leave, then stops and turns to look at you again. Sire. Now what? What do you want done with the kobolds? Couldn't care less. Leave them for the Weaver if you want. We have more kobolds than we know what to do with already. There's a reason, after all, that breed like kobolds is an idiom even amongst the humans. At least you think that's what the humans say. You ponder the image of the chronologically frozen would-be hero on your stairs. Has he ever bred like a kobold? Man, I am so freaking feral, what the heck? Might be fun to ask him. Or better still, to ensure that he has taken it upon himself to play the dominant role in such an activity. Yeah, that will be quite a lark. Many months pass in quiet contemplation of how to best impose your whims on your helpless human victim. My liege, the Weaver and her brood have been successfully established on the 3rd floor. Took you long enough. Actually, you have no idea how long it took, as you spent quite a while mesmerized by the gently wavering image of your adorably little pet as he lingered in a timeless limbo. But you must not appear weak or your minions might not obey you as devotedly as they do now. You snap your fingers and time returns to the mortal, who continues climbing the stairs as if nothing had happened. You watch with glee the look of astonishment as the human reaches the top of the stairs and finds the corridors covered in spiderwebs as thick as his wrist. What is this nightmare? One of the Weaver's broods attacks the human. It's a tiny one, barely the size of a small dog, and the human dispatches it easily. Spiders. Why did it have to be spiders? He begins walking down the corridor, his whole body trembling deliciously. What kind of demented freak will allow such a huge spider as that inside the castle? You can't help laughing in anticipation of the expressions of dismay that will cross his handsome face when he realizes that was the smallest spider he'll encounter on this floor. The human makes his way gingerly down the third floor corridor, trying to avoid stepping on the thickest bits of webbing. Some very sticky time later. Without me? Gosh, what kind of demon lord am I to let all this sticky time happen without me? The human is just dispatching a spider that came up to his knee. It twitches as it dies, frightening him and causing him to stumble backwards into a patch of particularly strong, sticky webbing. Though it might be a struggle to do so, your would-be hero is just able to rip himself free from the webbing again. Grimacing, he plunges further down the corridor, wiping the last of the webbing from his clothes as he does so. Even more time passes. As your would-be slayer approaches the stairs that will take him to the fourth floor, he hesitates a moment and seems to be listening. You can't hear at first, but then you do. Heavy footfalls, the clacking of mandibles. The weaver herself is aware of him, approaching in hopes of avenging her brood. The human lets out a moan, some combination of fear and determination, as the weaver looms into his field of vision. She is impressive, you have to admit. So tall, she barely fits in the corridor and covers all over with thick, bristling black hairs, with mandibles capable of easily crushing an ogre. Despite her incredible size, all 8 of her legs end in sharply delicate points, capable of gently opening any orifice in her victims without damaging them. Ooh, so you're telling me that this large spider can basically tear me a new one? My god, this sounds amazing. The human screams a battle cry and rushes her with his sword. Somewhat to your dismay, the human is unable to dodge the weaver's first blow. She knocks him to the ground and pins him down before spitting webbing all over him, wrapping him up like a lovely little gift. As she injects him with her venom, you instruct the servant to go retrieve the human's body as soon as the weaver is done feeding on him. You'll have to sacrifice another minion to bring the human back to life. Well, I guess I'm going to be maxing out the human a bit more. Some very sticky time later. The human is suddenly confronted by several of the kobolds who still lurk on the floor, trying to avoid becoming food for the weaver and her brood. You admire his fancy footwork, graceful as the dancers, as the human dodges each of the kobold attacking him, dispatching them one by one in the process. However, as he's striking down the last kobold, he is taken by surprise when several of the weaver's young leap at him from both sides. The blow leaves him momentarily stunned, but the mortal picks up his sword again and slays the creatures, grumbling under his breath as he does so about how disgusting spiders are. Even more time passes. The human grimaces as the weaver once again approaches him, eager to avenge her young. The human screams a battle cry and rushes her with his sword. Somewhat to your dismay, the human is unable to dodge the weaver's first blow. She knocks him to the ground and pins him down before spitting webbing all over him, wrapping him up like a lovely little gift. As she injects him with her venom, you instruct the servant to go retrieve the human's body as soon as the weaver is done feeding on him. You'll have to sacrifice another minion to bring the human back to life. Well, I'm still leveling up the character, so don't you worry about it. Some very sticky time later. One of the oldest of the weaver's broods drops down behind the human. With a terrified battle cry, the human turns to face the spider that is nearly as tall as he is. He's just in time to catch the blow of its mandibles with his sword. With his counterattack, the human deals the gigantic arachnid a terrible injury. It's not immediately fatal, but the second blow is. Wiping the sweat from his brow, the human continues onward, muttering about the horrors of spiders. Even more time passes. The human grimaces as the weaver once again approaches him, eager to avenge her young. The human screams a battle cry and rushes her with his sword. The weaver strikes at him with one forward leg as he advances, but he dodges the blow and manages to stab his sword deep into her exoskeleton. Of course, that does little damage to a being as large as the weaver. Not at all, in fact. She swats him away like a flea. Though he collided hard with the wall, the human gets up again, barely seeming injured for the blow. This time, rather than attack her straight on, he waits for her to strike at him again and grabs hold of her leg, letting it pull him back towards her body so he can hoist himself on top of her. Running along her head, he thrusts downward with his sword, putting out her eye one by one until the weaver collapses, seemingly dead. Delighted with himself and smiling so as to make him even more handsome than he already was, the human dashes for the stairs. You send a servant to heal the weaver of her injuries to ensure she will be ready to fight again the next time your cute little guest passes through the third floor corridor. Halfway up the stairs, the human stops and begins checking his clothing for lingering spiderwebs. You ponder a moment, wondering what you want to see the human struggle with now. What would be most delicious to watch? Most exciting? Most stimulating? Of course. You clap your hands in delight. Did you summon me, my liege? Yes. Transport my greenhouse to the 4th floor of the castle. Yes, my liege? You have objections? Of course not, sire. Good. It may take some time, though. Yes, just let me know when you're through. Yes, my liege. Your servant scurries out, but rather than freeze the human again, you wave your hand to bring up a fog of illusion all around him. What? Now what? You make your image appear in the fog before him, towering over him and menacing him with your gigantic sensuality. Who are you? You are the one who's invading my castle, mortal. I ask the questions. Oh, so you're the evil demon lord I've come here to slay. Oh man, yeah, slay. I'm kidding. Not at all what I was expecting. How terribly wrote. Why should you want to kill me, human? What harm have I ever done to you? He pauses for a moment, looking unsure. You killed... He stops, frowning. Who was it that you killed? He scratches his head, then shakes it vigorously. It doesn't matter who you killed. You're an evil demon lord, so you have to be stopped. Is that so? It is! You're terrorizing the countryside. I am minding my own business. You humans invaded my lands and decided to slaughter my subjects to make room for your farms. Does that make you the evil ones? Oh man, this really makes a moral dilemma, huh? What? That's not... It's not true, is it? Why should I lie? Because you're an evil demon lord. Do you know no other words than those? Well, of course I do. Then why are you simply choosing not to use them? Well, He frowns, looking adorably confused. I feel like maybe I haven't talked much lately. He certainly hasn't. He's been quite silent since he made his way up and down your castle hallways, killing and being killed by our minions. Talk now then. Tell me about yourself. I'm here to kill you and save my people. Find something else to say or I will lose my patience. I'll kill you here and now. He winces and then shrugs. I don't know what else you want me to say. I feel like I've been in this castle for most of my life. He has been here for several decades by now. But is that really so long to a human? I can't really remember my whole life anymore. Well, no matter. I'm sure you can find something else to talk about. Like what? What kind of man you like? Your favorite naughty positions? What's the most exquisite agony you've ever felt to us? For some reason, the human shudders. I don't find agony exquisite. Really? Really? Maybe you just haven't felt the right kind yet. That's not... I'd be happy to help you discover the pleasure you can get from the right pain. The only pain I'm interested in is the pain I'm gonna make you feel. No, I do not enjoy my own pain, only that of others. That wasn't what I meant. Oh? Well, let us set that aside. Tell me what sort of man you prefer. You do find me desirable, yes. The human turns an attractive shade of crimson. What sort of question is that for a demon lord to ask a hero? What do you mean? I don't think I can make you understand. Oh? Really now? Fine. Let's talk about adult fun times. The human whimpers like a dog. Have you been using the kobolds for those purposes while you've been here? You haven't seen him entertaining himself in that fashion, but even you have to sleep sometimes. What? No, that's disgusting! You shrug. I do not judge others for their taste. Do you mean that you have no interest in lesser beings? So, for some reason, you do fascinate me. The human once again models red. Perhaps it is a mating display. How adorable. Can we just go back to threatening each other, please? What an odd request. It's just I really don't want to talk about adult fun times with you. How forward he's being suddenly. When did the discussion turn to us having adult fun times? What? You laugh at the confusion all over his face. However, then you both fall silent. Eventually, the human digs his pack and pulls out some of the rations he's bought from your maid. He sits down on the stairs and begins to eat, ignoring you. For some reason, this enrages you so greatly that you almost smite him dead on the spot. Only the thought of watching him struggle his way through the myriad plants from your greenhouse stops you. But they may not be ready for a while yet, so you freeze the human's time again until your servant returns with the news that the transfer has been completed. You allow the human's time to resume and watch him finish his meal and then make his way up to the stairs of the fourth floor. The human stops dead just at the top of the stairs, staring at the corridor. A jungle now? Who puts a jungle in their hallway? He turns and glances back down the stairs, then shudders and presses forward into a tangle of plants filling the hall. The human makes his way through the foliage, choking the fourth floor hallway, cutting through the vines that dangle before his face. Time, like falling leaves in a garden, passes endlessly. The human trips over a root, crashing face first into the base of one of your most aggressive flesh-eating plants. The human is still struggling back to his feet when the plant's vines come after him. By the time he knows what's happening, they've wrapped around his whole body, pinning his arms to the side, preventing him from fighting back. He's dragged into the plant's waiting, hungry mouth. Oh, the crunch of his bones makes you obviously hungry. You'll have to sacrifice another minion to bring the human back to life. Time, like falling leaves in the garden, passes endlessly. The human wanders into range of one of your plants of your own creation. You call it a seduculent. The seduculent releases its pheromone pollen. Their scent drives animal life of all kinds into a wild, lusting frenzy. But you've given your charming little pet enough magical power to keep the plant's pollen from enchanting him. He walks away, unaware of the danger he was in. No matter how the vines cling, they can't stop time from progressing, nor can they stop the would-be hero from advancing. Making his way towards the stairs up to the fifth floor, your little home invader is confronted by the unbeatable stench of your prized Magraflesia plant. Letting out a groan, he covers his mouth as he proceeds onwards, sword held in his shaking free hand. This should be most entertaining. The human is not conquered by the Magraflesia's intense odor and pushes forward until he reaches the plant itself. He is stunned into uncovering his nose by the sheer size of the Magraflesia's blossom. It is fully twice the size of the human itself and blocks the entire corridor. He quickly covers his nose again with a grunt, nearly overpowered by the enormity of the smell pervading the atmosphere all around him. He is a little shaky on his feet now, but seems to have enough magic to have fought off most of the effects of the Magraflesia's pollen he just inhaled. The human begins assailing the Magraflesia flower with his sword. Such a clumsy series of attacks will never kill the plant itself, but it soon cuts through the flower, causing it to wither enough for the human to climb over it and access the stairs. But you're not worried. Your Magraflesia is a hardy plant, and it will have fully bloomed again by the next time the human comes through this corridor. The human pauses on the stairs, rummaging in his pack. As you watch him standing there, you try to decide how you want to see him suffer next. His suffering is such a charming display after all. Those screams and grunts, they just melt your heart. At the moment, the fifth floor is... What is on the fifth floor? You never really leave the seventh floor anymore. The human is now sitting down to eat. He seems to have caught on that there are never any minions on the stairs, so you have time. You clap your hands to summon your servant. Did you call me, my liege? Yes, what is on the fifth floor at the moment? Sire? Did you not hear the question? Oh, no, I just... The fifth floor houses the kobolds and ogres at present, sire. They're probably not too happy about so many of their own having been sacrificed to revive this human over and over again. Or perhaps they're used to it by now, particularly the kobolds. It must have been 2 or 3 generations ago that the human entered the palace, in kobold terms. Still, there's probably resentment there. Move the kobolds and ogres to the 6th floor, and send the succubi, incubi, and trolls there too. As to the 5th floor, I know. If the enchanted objects from the basement treasury brought up to the 5th floor. Which ones? All the ones that are capable of independent motion. Except the Pendulum of Doom, that can stay where it is. You still haven't forgiven it for taking a swing at you a few centuries back. Yes, my liege. Right away. The human continues on his way up to the 5th floor, moving cautiously along the corridor, his eyes watching everything warily. The human's pace slows to a crawl as he finds no minions to fight, his nerves visibly shaken by the silence, which is to say, even more time passes than usual. The human passes by an open door that leads to a chamber filled with golden coins and jewelry. Though he lingers a moment looking in at the treasure, he passes the door by without entering the room. How frustrating. You had hoped to see what would happen within. As the would-be hero has more encounters with your enchanted items, his pace slows to a crawl. Evidently, humans don't care much for items that move themselves. The human stops walking forward within sight of the stairs up to the 6th floor. In front of the stairs is an elaborate bedroom set. Bed, armoire, dresser, chair, even an ornate device that you've been told is called a parlor stove. You have hoped to see the fellow undress and climb into the bed for a nap, but he seems to be trying to circumvent the furniture entirely. Fortunately, the furniture has other ideas. The chair lunges for him first. Lacking the necessary speed to dodge the chair, he swept up on top of it and carried it around the corridor, screaming. The chair eventually tosses him off onto the bed. He seems relieved by the soft landing spot until the bed begins cocooning him in its sheets. Ah, what a pleasant thought. You'll have to make sure to wrap him up head to toe in your own bed once he gets up to the 7th floor. You watch him struggling in the silk sheets until his movement slowly came to a stop. You're not sure if the bed tightened the sheets to crush him or if he was suffocated by them, or if the bed leached away all of its energy, but it was a delightful spectacle regardless. You have to sacrifice another minion to bring the human back to life. Well, we're skipping ahead again. I'm still gonna be leveling up speed, but a part of me kinda wants to level his stamina as well, so we'll see how that goes. The human's pace slows to a crawl as he finds no minions to fight, his nerves visibly shaken by the silence, which is to say, even more time passes than usual. The sound of music catches the human's intentions as he makes his way to the 5th floor. He follows the sounds until he reaches a room now filled with all your enchanted instruments. They play an enticing jig, so magical that even you would have difficulty resisting it if you were there in the room with them. This poor little human has no hope of stopping himself as he starts dancing to tune with great energy. He continues merrily prancing until the instruments tire of playing for him. Then he crawls out of the room, slamming the door behind him. Panting heavily, he continues along his way. As the would-be hero has more encounters with enchanted items, his pace slows to a crawl. Evidently, humans don't care much for items that move themselves. The human stops walking forward within sight of the stairs up to the 6th floor. He must remember that the enticing bedroom set at the base of the stairs is capable of, because he's trying to sneak past it. Fortunately, the furniture has other ideas. The chair lunges for him first. Lacking the necessary speed to dodge his chair, he swept up on top of it and carried around the corridor, screaming. The chair eventually tosses him off the bed. He seems relieved by the soft landing spot until the bed begins cocooning him in its sheets. What a pleasant thought. You'll have to make sure to wrap him up head to toe in your own bed once he gets up to the 7th floor. You watch him struggling in the silk sheets until his movements slowly come to a stop. And he died again. Gosh darn. The chair lunges for him first. He dodges the chair, but the action causes him to stumble into range of the dresser, which ejects its drawers, striking both his legs hard. Cursing under his breath, the human backs away from the dresser, bringing him in range of the armoire, which opens its doors and drags him inside with appendages made of regal garments. Almost before the doors to the armoire have finished closing around him, the human shoves them open again and tears himself free of his silk and velvet attackers. But he would look lovely clad in velvet, the same beautiful shade of red as his blood, wouldn't he? You'll have to have something made up for him. In fleeing the armoire, he finds himself face to face with the parlor stove, which suddenly gouts flame out its top. The flames don't seem to frighten the human, so the stove attempts another move and shoots fire out of the door in its front, where the wood was once loaded in by long ago mortals. Though he's singed by it, the fire doesn't stop the human, as he's able to dash past the enchanted furniture and up the stairs to the 6th floor. Well, that was dull. Hardly worth paying attention to. As he become his wont, the human stops on the staircase to have a meal and healing potion. My liege, can't you see I'm busy? You got anything to say? Watching the human eat is busy. Obviously. If you have something to say, just say it. But sire. What? Have you given any thought to what will happen if the human should reach this floor? Of course I have, Worm. It's been hard to think of anything else, in fact. Certainly, know-nothing interfering busybodies you know would probably say you're obsessed, in fact. But it's hardly an obsession, because just because you can't think of anything else. No, it's not that you can't think of anything else. It's that you don't want to think of anything else. Entirely different. Are there any preparations you need me to make for your defenses, sire? You laugh. I am all the defense I need. You're sure you don't need any defensive gear? Naturally not. It's not as though either of you could end up pregnant after all. Apparently that's all I can think of, fam. As you wish, my liege. He leaves you alone with your contemplation of your lovely little visitor. Upon reaching the 6th floor corridor, the human sets his jaw and begins walking bravely forward. Time presses ever onward. 3 ogres jump out in front of the human, yelling angrily. He leaps away in surprise, but that only puts him in range of the rest of their gang. A troll accompanying the ogre gang strikes him in the back before he can react. Despite the heavy thud of the impact, he doesn't falter. Instead, he strikes down one of the ogres in front of him and shifts to put his back on the wall to prevent any more ambushes. The ogres begin a relentless assault. He lashes out and cuts them down at every opportunity, but there are so many of them and it's a long fight. He manages to hold on throughout their onslaught until he's reduced their numbers to 1. Specifically, the leader of that particular gang of ogres, a giant of an ogre, 9 feet tall and with biceps nearly as thick as your wrist. With one blow, the human takes off the enormous ogre's arm. A second blow removes the other arm, and the third, its head. The ogre's corpse falls to the ground, fountaining blood, and the human presses onwards, wiping the blood off its lovely face as he goes. The passage of time feels extra slow to you, knowing how close your human is to the 7th floor. As the human approaches the stairs that will finally bring his luscious little body to your chamber, he stops dead at the sight of a virtual army assembled before the stairs. There are ogres, kobolds, and succubi almost without number. Honestly, you're a bit surprised that there are still so many of them left. Your little pet sets his jaw firmly and wades into the enemy. The kobolds charge first, swarming towards him like the vermin they are. The kobold swarm is too much for him, and the human is quickly overcome, torn to shreds by their sharp, gnawing teeth. You'll have to sacrifice another minion to bring the human back to life. Oh gosh darn, I thought he would be strong enough for that. Time presses ever onward. The human is quickly set upon by a small band of kobolds. They begin to circle him rapidly, barking and growling. The human has no difficulty keeping up with their movements, though he doesn't seem to have found a good opening to initiate combat. They keep at it so long that you wonder if your kobolds are trying to wear him out or they're merely afraid of him. In either case, it's gone on so long that it's almost boring. You're greatly relieved when the human finally strikes the first blow, decapitating one of the kobolds. After that, the fight goes quickly and he is able to continue his way again, leaving the whole pack dead. The passage of time feels extra slow to you, knowing how close your human is to the 7th floor. The kobolds charge first, swarming towards him like the vermin they are. He dodges the kobold's attack with a grace that sets a thrill in your loins and cuts him down with an icy firmness that excites you even more. He hasn't even finished dealing with the kobolds when the succubi begin their attack. In a move that surprises you, he displays that he's learned the skill of using his sword to bat magical spells back at their casters. Most of the succubi die on their own spells, and the rest are quickly cut down by his blade. But the ogre is already charging him, so he hasn't had a moment to rest before he's already in combat against them. Even though ogres gain extra toughness of skin when they're angry, little known fact, he's cutting through them with ease. Not so much ease that he isn't taking any damage, but so far his life doesn't seem to be in any danger. Though the fight against the ogre mob seems to last a full week, the human strength never fails him, and he finally cuts down the last of them. Now, nothing stands between him and your chambers but a staircase and a simple wooden door. You're trembling with excitement at the prospect. As the human reaches the top of the stairs, you wave your hand to disperse the illusion, showing you his progress. Don't want him to get a swelled head after all. Save the swelling for other things. Oh my freaking god. What is taking him so long? It's been minutes since he's reached the 7th floor. How long can it take him to open one door and walk through it? Of course, he must be nervous about finally meeting you flesh to flesh, but that's no excuse for such cowardice. You shall have to teach him a lesson about bravery. Finally, the door opens and your guest enters the room. At last! Prepare to meet your end, Demon Lord! How whimsical. You certainly kept me waiting, haven't you? Don't you know it's rude to be so late to your first date? Date? What? What are you talking about? I'm here to kill you! Don't be silly. I don't... Of course you do. No, we're definitely supposed to have a final confrontation. That's what humans and demon lords do. My, how melodramatic you are. You laugh. Fine, I'll play along. Only now will you taste true suffering, mortal fool. Like that? You're not supposed to be faking it. Oh, my dear, I never fake it. Huh? If I'm unsatisfied, I will let you know. Really? Really what? Can we just cross blades and get it over with? You frown. Such crude impatience. This way then, we'll cross blades all you want, human. You lead the way from your study to your bedchamber. Huh? We're going to battle in here? That's not really a term I've heard for it. Wait, why are you undressing? I have no desire to sully my garments with sweat and other bodily fluids. You're stripping because you don't want to bleed on your own clothes? If either of us bleeds, it will certainly be you, my pet. But I'd rather you didn't. Blood is awfully hard to get out of these sheets. I really don't understand. What could possibly be confusing about such a simple thing? I'm here to kill you. Why are you acting like I'm here to sleep with you? You laugh. Silly boy. Why would you want to kill me? Because I came to kill you. I'm sure of it. I wanted to avenge, I came from the village of, my name is, why can't I remember anything? What did you do to my mind? Nothing at all. You must simply be tired from the fight you had at the bottom of the stairs. Don't you worry about that. I know techniques that will fill you with all the energy you need. But I'm sure I was here to kill you. Hey, how long have I been here? Long enough to make me very impatient. How long is that? Oh, not long in the grand scheme of things. Maybe 140 years. 100 years? And 40. That is quite enough of that. You'll not tease me any longer. Out of those clothes, now. Hey, wait! I didn't! After gleefully disrobing him, you remove your own trousers as well. Well, why do you have two? You stop his questions with a fierce kiss. He doesn't seem to have any further complaints. Or if he does, you can always experience the joy of slowly, enticingly cutting him to ribbons with your own hands. Another trip or two through your palace should well remind him of how much more pleasant it is here in your bed. The end. No freaking way! No! Oh my god, this was possibly like one of the funniest visual novels I've played. Like, simply because of how freaking feral I am as the demon lord. I love it. I freaking love it. God. But anyway, that was playing my obsession on repeat. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want to play this game for yourself, link to the game will be in the description below. I really loved playing as a freaking feral demon lord. That was amazing. I need more games like this where I'm just absolutely feral and I just don't care about the plot. But anyway, I hope you guys have a lovely rest of the day, and I will be seeing you in the next video. This is Lionel, signing off. Ciao.